Hello everyone. It almost feels like I am spamming videos at this point, but we got a new project, InstantID, which looked promising. It is yet another project which takes the face fidelity and tries to match it as closely as possible to the input image. But this one, it's interesting because it is inspired by IP adapters and control nets. So we have both concept of IP adapter as well as the level of control which we get from control nets. So here I am on the official GitHub repository by InstantID, and the project name is also called InstantID. Now this project got over 2,000 stars before even releasing the code base. So it was just a README with some concepts and people liked it. Now this project came out yesterday. At least the code base was released yesterday for me. And if we go down, you can see that it has multiple IDs and it can also do multiple styles. And there's also a good picture here that tells us we have an ID. This ID is basically generating the face. And then we have another one that is generating the background. We got a third one that is generating a second person. And then we also have a stylized, so we can take a picture of a person and we can change it into different styles. Now, there's a good comparison between previous work. If you have been following the advance in the AI field, then you probably already know that we have IP adapter, face ID, and we got version 2. Then Photo Maker came out, and now we have InstantID. So there's a good comparison here. You can take a look. I will have a link in the description as usual. To get started with the project, you have a couple of options. The first one is a Gradio demo posted by HuggingFace. From the GitHub repository, you can click on the HuggingFace spaces, and this is a button. It will open a new tab, and in here at the top, you will see some instructions on how to use it. The top left drop-down box is for an image. So this could be a person, a character. The bottom one is for a pose. So remember that I said that this project was inspired by controlnet. So you can add a person or even a character in a different, completely different pose, and it will take that pose and generate an image using the face from the top drop down and the pose from the second drop down. On the right, you will get the output. This is an option, but you do not have control over the number of images that you want to generate. You cannot add anything into the pipeline, which is going to bring me to my second option to try it out. And we have to scroll a little bit down. As the download section, there is a community resources section. And in there is ComfyUI. ComfyUI is the front end for stable diffusion. There's also Automatic 1111, which is quite popular, but we do not have an extension for Automatic 1111 as of yet, at least to my knowledge. I will be using ComfyUI locally, and I'm going to show you how you can install the Zho-Zho-Zho implementation inside of ComfyUI. Now, if you have been following the channel, you may already be familiar with Zho-Zho-Zho. They provided a diffuser implementation of Photomaker, and now they are bringing a diffuser implementation of InstantID. So just like Photomaker, this extension by Zho-Zho-Zho is not the official implementation. It again going to say unofficial implementation of InstantID or ComfyUI. Basically, it's giving us an early preview of how InstantID works. Now, just like Photomaker, when installing this, you will get a lot of errors. And in today's video, I will be talking about the errors I encounter and how I was able to resolve it. So hopefully, when you follow today's video, you will be able to get InstantID running. In case you get issues like out of memory error, for this one, we will just have to wait for the official implementation, one that actually uses the ComfyUI pipeline. Now, some of you may have already tested it. And if you were able to get it to work, that is great. For me, when I followed the instruction on the install and how to use section, it did not work on my regular ComfyUI installation. Instead, I got a lot of dependencies conflict, which ultimately broke my ComfyUI. So I highly recommend you to not install this version of InstantID directly on your working ComfyUI installation. Instead, navigate to ComfyUI GitHub repository by Comfy Anonymous. Scroll down where it says installing ComfyUI. Click on it. It will bring you to the installation guide. Click on direct link to download, and this will give you a zip file. Now, if you've downloaded it, by default, it goes into your downloads folder. So you can go into Files, type in Files Explorer, or if you have the option, you can select Downloads directly from there. Once it's open, just look for ComfyUI Windows Portable. You need to extract this. So click on it once to select it. At the top, if you are using Windows 11, you will have Extract All button. And then click on the Browse option and just choose a path where you want to save your new installation of ComfyUI. I'm going to extract mine in the Downloads folder itself, and we should see it here. This will take some time, so I'm going to come back when it's completed. For those who do not have Windows 11, or if you are on a previous build, then you may not have the Extract All option. In that case, I recommend using 7-zip. You can go into the GitHub repository for ComfyUI, and under the installing section, you will have a link, a direct link to 7-zip website. Click on it and then download the version for your particular operating system. Now, once it's completed, you will have a folder, ComfyUI Windows Portable. Now, do not delete the zip file just yet. I'm going to show you the first method. It is the recommended way by Zho-Zho-Zho, and we're going to follow these instructions. In case it does not work, we are going to uninstall it and install another version. Inside the ComfyUI Windows Portable, go into it, and then go into ComfyUI, open up custom nodes. Inside here, go at the top, type in CMD, then go back into the GitHub repository, copy the second line, click and drag to highlight, press Ctrl+C to copy, go into the terminal, press Ctrl+V to paste. If your terminal does not allow you to paste with Ctrl+V, then you can press Ctrl+Shift+V to paste, or you will need to go at the top, right click and select paste from the drop down. Once you paste the line, press space and then type in ComfyUI -InstantID and then I'm just going to add ZOH so that I know this version is from Zho-Zho-Zho GitHub user. Because as with Photomaker, we may get a ComfyUI implementation, basically the official implementation. And if both project has the same name, it's going to give us a name conflict. Now, to clear the CMD, you can type in CLS and then type in DIR, press enter. And what we're looking for is to make sure that this folder was successfully cloned. Then type in CD space, type in COM, press tab. It will auto-complete and give you the name. Otherwise, you can type the name exactly as it is. Press enter. This will change the folder and bring us into this new folder. So all we've done is go into the folder, and right now we are here. Then we need to invoke the Python, which is inside the ComfyUI Windows Portable folder. So right now we are here. We need to go back once, and then a second time, and then a third time. In order to go back in the terminal, we have to do 2 dots. And in my terminal, you can see each folder is separated by a backslash. So I'm going to type in a backslash. Now, these 2 dots means that I went back one folder. So right now I'm inside the custom node folder. I have to do this 2 more times in order to go back into ComfyUI Windows Portable. So I'm going to type in 2 dots 3 times. This will send me into the ComfyUI Windows Portable folder. Inside it, I have the Python embedded. And now I need to invoke the python.exe, then -m pip install -r requirements.txt. This will install everything that is inside this file. And this is what is recommended in the GitHub repository. We've done the git cloning. We've gone into the ComfyUI InstantID. We just rename ours with a -zo at the end. And then this pip install -r requirements.txt, because we are using the Python inside of ComfyUI Python embedded folder, we need to do this at the beginning and then do the pip install -r requirements as suggested in the GitHub repository. Now press enter, and at this point, we just hope that it works. If it does not, we are going to move on to the second method, which is the method which worked for me. Now, here it started installing, and then it reached inside face, and it's trying to build the inside face dependency here. And you can see that it's getting the requirement to build the wheel, but then I got an error saying that I do not have the module name Python. Now, this is an easy fix. All you have to do is to install the Python dependency. So to clear the output, we are going to type in cls clear, press enter. Then to go back up and get the previous command in the terminal, we can press the up arrow once. In this case, it's giving me cls clear. I have to go back once more. So I'm going to press the up arrow again. It will give me my pip install -r requirements.txt command. I'm going to remove the -r requirements. So at the beginning, I have my Python, and then -m pip install Python, and then the C is capital. Press enter. I will install this one first. It's completed. I will press up arrow once, twice, and a third time to get the pip install -r requirements.txt. Press enter. So once again, it's installing inside face. And this time you can see that the installing build dependencies was successful. The getting requirements to build the wheel was successful. And if we go all the way down, you can see the output. It was able to start the build process, but then it could not complete it. We got an error. If you got this error, go back into your browser, any search engine, type in Microsoft Build Tools, and then click on the first option. It should be by visualstudio.microsoft.com. And then at this point, you will download the community version, the free download. Now, I've already installed it, but I'm going to show you. Open the installer. When you first install it, it will download. In my case, I already have it, so it did not download, but you will see something similar. For you, you may not have these two options. Maybe it will show you the available. Whichever the case, all you need to do is to select the Visual Studio Build tool, and you may get a window like this. You need to select the C++ option, and on the right side, make sure that the Windows SDK is selected for your particular Windows version. So I have Windows 11, and Windows 11 is checked. In case you have Windows 10, and if you scroll down, there will be a Windows 10 SDK. You can select a Windows 10 SDK. Then click on install. It's about 4 GB in size. Now I already have it. As you can see, I've installed 2 different versions to try out, but it's still, when I follow the instructions on the GitHub repository like this, it does not work. I'm still getting the same error saying that the file is missing. Now, at this point, if you were able to go beyond this point, so you did not get any error, that's great. Just skip to where I show you how you can create the workflow. But for those of you who got the same error, exit out of this terminal. Instead of following these instructions, I'm going to show you a different way of doing it. Go into the File Explorer, and you may have to go back a couple of times in order to get to your downloads folder or wherever you place the ComfyUI Windows Portable folder. Click on it, press delete, and we are going to delete this version completely. That is why I said do not delete the zip file, because once again, we are going to click on it, extract, and I'm going to go into my downloads folder, click on extract. This will give me a completely new ComfyUI installation folder. Okay, it's completed. I'm going to go into the ComfyUI Windows Portable folder, and then you will need to delete the Python embedded folder completely. We are going to recreate this folder using the correct dependencies and the correct Python version for InstantID to work. So select the folder and press delete. This will delete about 4 to 5 gigabytes of files. Okay, so now we do not have that folder. Go to the top, click there, type in cmd, open the terminal into this folder. And now we want to make sure that we have the correct Python version. So type in Python -- version, press enter. In my case, as you can see, I have the Python 3.12.1 installed. This version is too ahead for InstantID to work. InstantID will require Python version 3.10 in order to work. So the easiest method in order to install the Python 3.10, if you are using Windows, is to type in winget, press enter. If you see an output like this, and it tells you Windows Package Manager, it means you have the latest version of Windows 11 and winget is installed. Now again, to clear, type in cls, press enter. Then we are going to do winget search Python, press enter. This will take some time. It will go on the internet, download the list of basically packages which have the Python in their name. Now go to the top and look for the ID python.python 3.10. So 3.10. There is one that says 3.1. That is an old version. So you need the one that says 3.10. So put your mouse just before the Python and drag over until you have all the characters. Then press Ctrl+C to copy. Now, because the terminal input field is at the bottom, I'm going to clear the terminal by typing cls, pressing enter. And this time I will do winget space install space --ID, and then paste in the ID, the python.python.3.10. If you are not able to copy it, pause the video and type in as it is. Make sure that the P in Python is capital in both cases, so uppercase P. Then press enter. Now in my case, I already have it installed, but in your case, you may get a pop-up that tells you you need to give administrator rights. So just press on OK or confirm, and then you will get an installer where all you need to do is to click on next, next, next until the installation is completed. Then to check if the Python was installed correctly, you will need to close out of the terminal first. Go back to the top, cmd again, then do winget space list space, then type in the pipe symbol. The pipe symbol is just this line here, the vertical line. On my keyboard, it is above the enter key, and I need to press shift that button in order to get it. Now, after the pipe character, press space, and then we are going to type in find str space P capital for Python. Press enter, and you should have an output similar to this, where it's going to give you the Python 3.10.11 in my case. So it's basically the Python 3.10 which is installed. Now, if you have other Python version, that is okay. You can have the Python 3.9, 3.11, 3.12, and so on. all of that is okay. We are only going to use the Python version 3.10. So whenever we start ComfyUI, we always go into the run nvidia_gpu.bat. We double click on that and it loads ComfyUI. So if we open this file in Notepad, you will see that it's telling us to go into the Python embedded, python.exe, and then run the command. If you're a Linux user, you're probably typing this command manually. What we need to do right now, since we've deleted this Python embedded folder, we'll have to recreate a virtual environment using the Python 3.10 and then install all the dependencies which ComfyUI will require inside that virtual environment. Let's minimize the terminal. Go into your Start menu, and if you have recently installed file here, it may tell you your Python 3.10 is somewhere here. Otherwise, you can go to the top where it says search and type in Python. From the list, you will have all of your Python version. Look for the Python that says 3.10. Right click on it, select Open File Location. Now, this is still a shortcut. At the top, we can see that it's pointing toward the Start menu, Program, and so on. So right-click on the Python 3.10 once again and select Open File Location. Now, once it's open the actual location, you will see python.exe. Right-click on it and choose Copy as Path. In case you are not able to copy as path, you do not have this option, maybe you're using Windows 10. In that case, go to the address bar at the top, select it. In case it's not selected for you like this, you can press Ctrl A to select everything, basically highlight it, and then press Ctrl C to copy. You can also right click and copy. Then go into your terminal, paste it, put a backslash, type in Python, press the tab key, and it will autocomplete, giving you python.exe. Okay, so right now we are invoking the Python versions 3.10, and we are going to create a virtual environment with it. So we'll do space -m venv, which stands for virtual environment, and then we need to give it a name. Now, ComfyUI use Python embedded. You can use Python embedded, but it is not actually embedded right now. So I'm going to call it .venv, which is basically the traditional name whenever developers are creating virtual environment. So I'm going to stick with this best practice. Again, the path to the Python 3.10, invoking the Python, then space -m space venv space .venv to create the virtual environment. Press enter. This will create a virtual environment. Give it some time until you see the command prompt back. Minimize the terminal once again. We can close out of the folder for Python 3.10. And if you go into your folder for ComfyUI, you should have the folder .venv there. Okay. Now go into the terminal once again, and now press .venv backslash scripts. The S in scripts is capital, uppercase, backslash activate. Press enter, and you should have an output like this, where it tells you that you are using the virtual environment. So to check, we can do Python --version. Remember when we did this command previously, for me, it was telling me Python 3.12. And this time when I press enter, it is telling me that I am using the Python 3.10. Okay. So from here on, whenever I need to call in Python, I will just type in Python and it will automatically take this Python 3.10. Now, we cannot just start ComfyUI because we have not installed dependencies or ComfyUI to run properly. So let's go into the GitHub repository for ComfyUI, the one from Comfy Anonymous. And in the list of files, if you scroll a little bit down, there is a file called requirements.txt. Click on the file. It will open and give us all the requirements from the file. Copy the raw contents by clicking on this button here. This will copy the content. Now go into File Explorer, right click, click on New, select a text document, rename it to requirements.txt, and then open the file in Notepad or any other editor that you may have. By the way, to get this context menu, I am right-clicking on the file. I will select Edit in Notepad, and I will press Ctrl-V to paste. You can also go into Edit, Paste, and save this file by pressing Ctrl-S or go into File, Save. Now, at this point, we cannot just run this requirement and install everything. It will go in and install the latest version of everything that we have here. And that is not what we need right now. We need to install the dependencies for our own operating system. So stable diffusion, at least ComfyUI, works with the PyTorch library. That is the deep learning library that ComfyUI uses. Let's go into the browser, open a new tab. At the top, type in PyTorch. It is PyTorch, press enter. And the first link should be the one. It should be pytorch.org. Click on it. This will send you into the website homepage. At the top, there will be a Get Started button. Click on it. And then, in my experience, most of the time, it auto-detects what is the best configuration for me. Now, in case you do not see any of these red selected boxes, then you may have to select it by pressing on the options. So as you can see, I can change it to preview, or I can select this table. So I am using Windows. I'm going to select Windows. I am using the pip installer. So this is what I'm going to do. The language is Python, and then the compute platform, I'm going to select the 11.8 version. Now, once you've selected these options, at the bottom here, where it says run this command, it will give me a command to run in the terminal. I'm going to copy everything, starting from install all the way to Q11.8. This it basically means CUDA 11.8. So I am leaving this pip3 out because for Windows, most of the time, you will have to type in pip without the number 3. If you're using Linux, if you're using a Mac OS, then copy the pip3 and then you will use that. Copy it by highlighting everything and then right-clicking copy. You can press Ctrl-C as well to copy. Go into the terminal. Remember, we always need to have this .venv in front before we run these commands. So if you do not have this in front, you will have to do the .venv /scripts /activate, press enter in order to get that. Next, we'll do python-m pip and then paste the line. Now, if you accidentally copied the pip3, then when you pasted it, use your arrow keys to move the cursor over and remove the 3 from the command. If you're using Mac OS or Linux, usually by default, you will get Python 2 and Python 3 installed. So you'll need to tell the operating system which Python you want to use. That is the reason why there is a 3 over there. In Windows, we do not have Python installed by default. Now, once you have all of this, press enter, and this will take some time to go online, download the correct PyTorch version. Okay, so once it's done, you should see successful install and then all the dependencies there. I'm going to do CLS to clear. Then I will go back into File Explorer, open the requirements.txt in Notepad. Okay, so here are the requirements. And at the top, I have the requirements from PyTorch. So you can see that we have the same command twice, one in the PyTorch. So we have torch here, and then we also have torch in the requirements. What we need to do right now is to remove all the duplicates dependency. Otherwise, it may uninstall the previous version, the one from PyTorch, and install a new version. So we're going to remove torch. You can press delete, backspace on your keyboard to remove it. We'll also remove Torch Vision, and that's it. Press Ctrl S to save, file, save, then go into your terminal. If you still have the long log history from when we were installing the PyTorch dependencies, you can press CLS to clear, press enter, and then we now need to install everything that was inside the requirements.txt file. We are going to do python-m pip install-r requirements.txt. The command there, press enter. Okay, so it's completed for me, and again, I have successful here. If you see this warning that tells us to upgrade the pip version, do not worry about it. We do not require updating pip or any of the dependencies to continue forward. Again, I'm going to type in CLS to clear the terminal output. And at this point, we basically have ComfyUI as a fresh install, just using the Python version 3.10. So we are now ready to do a test. We need to modify one last thing. Open the run NVIDIA_GPU.bat file. I'm going to use Notepad for that. And at the beginning, you can see that it is still pointing towards the Python embedded folder. All we have to do is to change this part to point towards our virtual environment. Go into the terminal. I will show you how you can get the path to the virtual environment Python. Press .venv /scripts. Again, the S is uppercase, /, type in py and press tab. This will autocomplete and give you the Python path. Now, to select this, you can highlight everything from starting from the .venv all the way to .exe. Highlight it, press Ctrl C to copy. Go into the Notepad, remove the previous Python path, so from dot all the way to .exe. Remove it by pressing backspace or delete, then paste the new path by pressing Ctrl V. Now, in case you were not able to copy it, then just pause the video and type in the command. Press Ctrl S to save, go into File, Save. Close out of the Notepad. Remove everything from the terminal. If you have anything, press Escape. It will clear everything. If you also have your log, you may want to do CLS to clear the log. Then, if you're following along, you should be inside the ComfyUI Windows Portable as well as inside the virtual environment. Minimize this terminal. We may use it later on, and run the run NVIDIA_GPU file, the one that we just modified. Now, in case for those of you who are using the run CPU version, you will do the exact same thing. You will open the run_CPU with Notepad, and then just replace the first section, the Python path, with the virtual environment path. Press Save, Ctrl S to save, or go into File, Save, in order to save the file. Run ComfyUI to test. I'm going to double click on Run NVIDIA GPU, and we can see that it found everything. It started ComfyUI as usual. If your ComfyUI opened up inside the web interface, then you know that the previous steps that you've done is correct. Close out of that web interface, close out of this particular terminal, the one that is running ComfyUI. Next, we are going to go into ComfyUI folder, and then there will be a folder named Models. You may be familiar with it. This is where we are going to place all the checkpoints. If we have any controlnet, FotoMaker, models, all of that is going to go inside this folder. However, for us, we are going to select that folder and press delete. Remember, this is the new ComfyUI folder. It's not your working ComfyUI. Do not delete the models folder from your working ComfyUI. This is the new one. As you can see, I've deleted the models folder. Now I need to recreate it, but I do not want to re-download or copy paste checkpoints from one folder to another, nor do I want to go into this extra model path and then for each model and for each section I have to create a section, one for checkpoint, one for controlnet, one for IP adapter, and have the path there. Instead, I'm going to show you an easier way using Symbolic Link, which is going to do all of that for us. Let's go into the terminal once again, and we need to navigate into this ComfyUI folder. So right now I am inside the root folder. So I will do cd ComfyUI, press enter, and now I am inside the ComfyUI folder. If the terminal that you are using is PowerShell, you will have to do cmd to go and press enter in order to go into cmd. This will only work inside of the command line terminal, cmd. All right, so if you followed along, you should have the cmd open already. This is what we were using all this time. Now, type in mklink space /d space, type in models. This is the folder that we want to create. Then the last parameter is going to be the path to a models folder, which has all of the checkpoints. So let me explain what we are doing here. We are going to create a symbolic link, and this mklink is responsible to do the symbolic link. So I've opened two file explorers. The one in the background, this one, it's from my new ComfyUI installation, the one that we were working on all this time. And this one is a folder where I have working ComfyUI, and this is where I save all of my models. So I'm going to go inside of ComfyUI testing, go into ComfyUI. In here, I have models. If I go into checkpoints, you can see I have all of my checkpoints here. In your case, you need to navigate to a folder which has the models and then all of your checkpoints there. Then right-click on that models folder, copy as path, go into the terminal. You should have mklink /d models is a new folder that we are going to create. And this folder will link to, in my case, it is inside of ComfyUI testing and then models. Press enter. So if you've done everything correctly, it will tell you that we are creating a symbolic link for a folder called models. And this models folder will be linked to an existing models folder. So if I minimize this, I go into my ComfyUI Windows Portable, the new installation, and I go back once, then go into ComfyUI again, just to refresh the folder. I will see, let me zoom in a little bit. I will see a new folder called models, and there will be a little icon next to it that tells me that this is just a link to a different folder. If I double click on this folder and go into checkpoints, you can see I have all of my checkpoints here. But this is not copying the folder and wasting spaces. Basically, this folder here is 0 kilobyte in size. It's just a link to an existing folder. Okay, just to recap, in case you are confused, mklink is just a command to create a symbolic link /d. We are telling the system that we want to create a new directory or folder, and this folder will be called models, and we want to link it to an existing models folder. Okay, so we're giving the path to an existing models folder. Okay, so hopefully you were able to do this part. Minimize the terminal, go back once. We should have the run NVIDIA GPU. Double click on it. Again, we are using the 3.10 Python inside the virtual environment. I'm going to close this error message and clear the canvas, load the default canvas, click on refresh and make sure that your checkpoints are there. In my case, they are there. I'm going to choose one, reduce the number of steps to 4 to 6, anything like that. Click on Q prompt, go into the terminal. At this point, I can see that it is loading the model and it started generating an image. So right now we have ComfyUI running. It detected our models. So if you have control nets, IP adapters, any of those models, it's already detected because of that symbolic link. And we are using the Python 3.10 version, and it was able to start as well as generate an image. So from here, we are going to follow the steps for InstantID by Zho-Zho-Zho. So let's close out of the terminal, exit out of the browser, go into the terminal. And right now I am inside the ComfyUI folder. I need to go into custom nodes folder. So I will do cd custom, press tab to autocomplete, press enter. I am now inside custom node folder. I will do git clone, go into the browser, go into the ComfyUI InstantID by Zho-Zho-Zho. Click on the drop down where it says code, copy it by pressing on this little icon, copy URL to clipboard, back into the terminal. I will paste by pressing Ctrl V and then do a space ComfyUI -InstantID -Zho. Press enter. This will clone the project. I will do cd change directory into this ComfyUI -InstantID -Zho. Press enter. I'm going to clear the terminal just to make space for you to see everything. Go back into the GitHub repository, go down until we see installation or install section. And then all we need to do is do pip install -r requirements.txt. So remember, very important, we are using the virtual environment. I can simply do python -m pip install -r requirements.txt, press enter, and wait for it to complete the installation. All right, so hopefully you were able to install the requirements. Next, we need to install the models. So let's do CLS to clear, minimize the terminal, go into the file explorer, and just navigate to the ComfyUI InstantID Zho implementation, the folder. Inside it, let me zoom in a little bit. There will be a couple of folders. One will be checkpoints, another one will be models. Let's go into GitHub repository for the ComfyUI Zho-Zho-Zho implementation of InstantID. And you want to scroll down until you see how to use. And I do not speak Chinese, but basically what it's saying here is you need to download the controlnet model from this link. So click on the link on this controlnet model link. It will open the HuggingFace website, the InstantID. This is the original project. And here, very important, you need to download both files, the config.json as well as diffusion_pytorch_model.savetensors. And equally important, you need to keep the same name. The node will look for this specific name. In order to download it, you can click on this button here, download file, or you can open this link. You can click on the file name, and then you will get a download button here. So I've completed the downloads. It is inside my downloads folder. Select the two files, press Ctrl X to cut, go inside the Zho-Zho-Zho InstantID folder, inside of checkpoints. In here, we'll need to create a folder called controlnet. Right click, click on new folder, and then do controlnet, all lowercase. Go inside the controlnet folder and do Ctrl V to paste. You can also right click, and at the top you will have the paste option. So you can click on this little icon to paste. All right, so again, just to recap, inside the checkpoints folder, we are going to create a controlnet folder, and inside the controlnet, we will have the config.json as well as the diffusion_pytorch_model savetensors file. Next, we need the IP adapter. Let's go back to the GitHub repository. And again, it's telling us that we need to download the IP adapter. So click on the link, go into the HuggingFace page, and this time you will download the IP adapter.bin pickle file. So click on this download button, or you can click on the name and click on download. All right, so it's completed. I have IP adapter.bin file inside my downloads folder. I will select it, press Ctrl X to cut, go into ComfyUI InstantID project, and you need to go inside the checkpoints folder. Then where it says put models here, you're going to Ctrl V to paste the IP adapter.bin file here. So it should look like this. Inside the checkpoint folder, you will have the IP adapter and then a folder called controlnet. Inside the controlnet, there will be the JSON config file as well as the save tenses controlnet file. Now, the last thing that we will need is these different models. I believe there are 4 or 5. So click on the last link that you have, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 files which we'll need to download. Okay, so select the first one, click on download, and this time I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick because there are so many files. If your browser gives you a dialog like this, where you can choose to save as, select the option save as, and then simply navigate to your ComfyUI, the new ComfyUI project, the one we created the virtual environment for, okay, not your previously working one. Open the ComfyUI, go into custom node, open the Zho InstantID folder, then go into models, go into Antelope B2, and you will see some files there. It will tell you that it is only 1 kilobyte in size. These are placeholder files, basically telling you you need these files, you need to replace these files. So the name will be pre-selected for you. Just click on save. It will replace the previous one with the new one that you've downloaded. So I'm going to do it here. I will click on save. It will tell me to replace. Click on yes. And on the right here, it downloaded, it finished. So I've done the first one. I'm going to do the second one. Press on download. Again, I will do save as. And because I selected this folder, it remembered the folder. And in this case, it is telling me it is adding a 1 next to it. I do not want that. So I will go to the top. I'm going to select the number 2 and it will change the name down. Press on save and it will replace that one. Click on yes. Okay. Now, in case you do not have that dialog box, then all you have to do is click on download. It will automatically download into your downloads folder like this. Then select the file, press Ctrl X, go into the Zho implementation, models, Antelope, and then in here, press Ctrl V to paste and replace the placeholder file. Okay, so do it for all of the files. Once you've downloaded all of the models, you should have 5 files and the total size should be around 407 megabytes. Okay, double check. If you see one of the files that's saying 1 kilobyte, it means that you haven't downloaded that particular model. So go into the InstantID HuggingFace page and look for that model and download that model. Now, there's one last thing that you may have to install. I needed to install it, so I'm going to show it to you just to be safe. It's not going to break anything in case you do not require it. So in the terminal where you have your virtual environment, again, if you close a terminal, go into the new installation, the ComfyUI new installation folder, and then do .venv /scripts /activate, press enter, and you will get the virtual environment here. Then do python -m pip install into Omegaconf, press enter. This is just a dependency that one of the node requires. At this point, we don't need this terminal. We can safely close out of this terminal. Go into the file explorer, go back a couple of times until you're back at the root of ComfyUI folder and where we have the run NVIDIA_GPU. Double click on it, open your ComfyUI, and we can do a test to see if the node got installed correctly. So once ComfyUI loads, at this point, hopefully you have this that tells us that it was able to import the InstantID ComfyUI node. I'm going to clear the canvas, right click, add node, InstantID, and then just make sure you can open all of these nodes. So select the node, top one, okay, and then open all of the nodes. This implementation will require all the nodes anyway. There are 2 ways of loading models. One is to download the model directly from HuggingFace page, and the second one is to use an existing model. So let's go over the nodes. Let me zoom in slightly. Hopefully you can see the top one. We are just going to tell the system whether we want InstantID to use the GPU or we can also use a CPU. Now we've installed PyTorch or CUDA. If you remember, when we went into PyTorch get started, it auto detected that I needed CUDA 11.8. Now in your case, it may be something else, but that is what you need to choose here. If you are running on CPU, then you want to change this to CPU. Now, the next node that will require is the ID controlnet loader. And in this case, it says enter your path. We'll need to go into File Explorer, ComfyUI, go into Custom Nodes, InstantID by Zho, Checkpoints, select the controlnet folder, right-click on it, and copy as path. Then go into the web browser, remove the enter your path text, select it and press delete or backspace, then press Ctrl+V to paste, or you can right-click and paste as plain text. Now, if you copy it as path, you will have these codes at the end as well as at the beginning, like here. So put your cursor there and remove that code. Just use your arrow keys to move your cursor left or right. Okay, so to remove, press OK or Enter. And now we have the path to the controlnet folder. It's not the controlnet model, it's the controlnet folder. Now, this controlnet, it needs to go into the model. So you have two options for the model. One is the ID base model loader from Hub. This one will auto download a model. And the second one, you need to download the model manually, place it inside of your models checkpoint folder, and then you can use it. Now, remember, this project will also require SDXL based model. You cannot use SD 1.5 models. So if you have one already, you can use the ID based model loader locally and select an SDXL model. Otherwise, you can select the default one. Now, I'm going to select the default one because I want to do a test. I want to make sure that everything is working. Then later on, I can go into the model loader locally and do some tests there. Some users reported that they were not able to use certain SDXL models to generate with InstantID. So you will need to test if your model is compatible. Now, the one that is already provided with this node, this one, it's compatible. Okay, back to the workflow. ID controlnet loader, controlnet output goes into the base model loader, controlnet input. Very easy. Just connect those two. The base model loader will output a pipe. This pipe will need to go into the IP adapter now. So here is the IP adapter node. The pipe will go into pipe. Again, where it says enter InstantID path, I'm going to go into the folder. This time I will have to click on back and copy the path for checkpoints. I'm going to show you a second way of how you can copy the path. So let's say I need to copy the path of this checkpoints folder. I will enter it, and then at the top, I will click on it, highlight it, Control-C to copy, go into the web UI, remove enter your path, and then paste. This method does not add codes at the end. Click on OK or enter, and this will automatically detect the IP adapter.bin. So again, if you've downloaded the file, do not rename the file. All right, so at this point, we have InstantID loader all by itself. ControlNet goes into base model, which goes into the InstantID IP adapter. This IP adapter will go into the InstantID generation. So model will go into pipe, and the inside face loader will go into inside face. The face image, we can just do a load image for it. Similarly, if you want a pose, you can drag out and do a load image for the pose. the positive and negative will require the ID prompt styler. Positive will go into positive, negative will go into negative. Okay, so all the parts are connected here. And image will just go out as a save image node or a preview node. Then these are the recommended settings. I have not experimented. In fact, I've just generated one image. Okay, so at this point, all you have to do is to enter a prompt and then click on generate. It's a little bit spaced out, but I'm going to slowly show you all the nodes. Once again, controlnet loader goes into the base model loader, which goes into the IP adapter instant loader. And this model goes into the InstantID generation. Now next, you just need to fill in what is remaining. So face image, just input a load image. In this case, I have my face. Inside face, you'll need the inside face loader and select the provider, CPU or GPU CUDA. The pose image, it's optional. In my case here, I've selected a pose just to see how well it's going to adapt to it. And then the positive and negative will require the ID, InstantID prompt styler. And for the positive, I've written a photo of a man. The style, I've selected line art. And I'm just going to use the default settings and I will click on generate. So if I open my terminal, you can see it loaded the component. In your case, you may see it's downloading. This is because the node here, it's going to download this model. For me, I've tried it before. I've already downloaded this model and this is going to take a while for me. The previous run took 41 seconds to complete. If you compare this with PhotoMaker, the Zho-Zho-Zho implementation was taking 15 minutes. And then we got a new implementation, the official implementation of PhotoMaker by Shimizu. And that one was taking about 3 minutes for me. Now this InstantID, it is new and we have an implementation. So right now it is taking 41 to 42 minutes for me to generate an image. I'm going to wait until we get an official implementation, if we do get one, and then compare it. But you can have an idea of how it's going to perform in case you're trying it out. So as you can see, it's generating right now. It's at 0% and well, it's going to take some time. Now, there's one thing, I'm not sure if it's going to show in this terminal. Okay, it's not here because my text prompt is short. I have a photo of a man, but if you've copied a prompt from an online source, for example, Midjourney or something like that, you may get a lot of detail in the prompt. When you check your terminal, it will tell you that the text will get truncated at the 77 token. And in case if you're wondering what this token number is and why you are getting this 77 token limit, I have a video on the channel. It's called Prompt Engineering. In there, I explain what this 77 token limit is and why it happens. All right, so as you can see, it's going, and right now, because I am recording, it's telling me that it will take about 55 minutes to complete. So I'm going to pause the video, stop the recording, let it complete, and come back. Okay, so it's finally completed, and we can see the result here. So this is the input image, and this face is going to go here, and this is the input pose, and this pose is reflected here. Now it's not an exact one-to-one. We can see the arm is in sort of the exact position and the line art style got reflected really well. It saw the glasses and with the glasses, the hair is pretty much what it was able to get. And with the face as well, it's pretty much what we can see from the input image. So overall, I think this is really good. It's a good implementation. However, the cost, it was, this one took about 45 minutes, probably because I was recording earlier and then I stopped recording. So if I was not recording when I did my first run, it took about 41 to 42 minutes. So on my system, it is very taxing, but on your system, if you have an NVIDIA, the 4000 series 3000 series or the 2000 series, you're probably going to get a huge speed up. Let me know if you were able to install the InstantID ComfyUI custom node. And this was a long video. If you stayed until the very end, thank you guys. I really appreciate the support and I hope you well. I will see you in the next video.